The Government Communication Service of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia issued a statement regarding the first anniversary of the signing of the Agreement for Lasting Peace through a permanent cessation of hostilities. In the statement, the government appraised Ethiopia's friends and partners on the progress in the implementation of the peace agreement. The statement said the peace agreement has been instrumental in silencing the guns and paving the way for the gradual normalization of life in northern Ethiopia. The federal government has set up and put into operation a rehabilitation commission aimed at facilitating the process of demobilizing and reintegrating ex-TPLF combatants, according to the statement. The federal legislature lifted the terrorist designation and proscription of the TPLF and released prisoners in a bid to further build trust, it said, adding this allowed the government to drop all charges brought against senior TPLF officials. Concerning the contested areas, the federal government has brought the contesting regional states together to find a peaceful and lawful solution to the problem. The federal government will redouble its efforts to consolidate peace and ensure the full implementation of the peace agreement, according to the statement. Ethiopian ambassador to Japan, Daba Debele, held discussions with international relations head of Japan International Association for the Industry of Building and Housing, JIBH, Kimihiro Hashimoto, on how to facilitate the company's involvement in the efforts to address the growing housing demand in Ethiopia. The discussion between the two sides was aimed at transferring Japan's cutting-edge technologies and experiences in the housing development sector to Ethiopia. An agreement was reached between the Ethiopian embassy in Japan and the JIBH to organize successful visits and meetings between stakeholders from both countries towards realizing collaborative works in the housing sector.
ሶሳ ከተማ ቤንሻንጉል ጉሙዝ አሶሳ መንገዷ ይመስላል። Welcome back. You're watching ABC World. Moving on to news items selected for detailed analysis. The Ministry of Trade and Regional Integration said Ethio-India trade relations showed significant growth in recent years. The average annual trade exchange value of the two countries in the year 2018 to 2022 was about $1.79 billion. The first Ethiopia and India Joint Trade Committee meeting kicked off in Addis Ababa today. Haptamu Ashagri has the following report.
India is a strategic trade partner of Ethiopia and it plays a great role for Ethiopia's economy development. Pursuant to the Ethiopian Customs Commission trade data, India is one of the 5 major trading partners of Ethiopia. Cementing the long-standing and historical relations of the two countries, senior government officials of the two countries opened the first Joint Trade Committee meeting.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Ethiopian
Talking to BBC English, Priya Nair, Economic Advisor, Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and heads of India delegation said the meeting is vital to cement the ongoing cooperation of the two countries.
We are here today to jointly discuss the important trade issues and other issues of importance for both the countries. So, in that context, this meeting is extremely important. Africa, especially Ethiopia, the relationship is important for us, and we, as our ambassador outlined, we would like through this meeting to jointly address various issues that is pertaining the bilateral trade, and also see how we can diversify the trade basket and also take forward the bilateral trade to new heights.
Nair appreciates Ethiopia's government with its relentless efforts to open the meeting after many years.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Ethiopian government for hosting me and my delegation here. It has been a warm welcome accorded to us by the Ethiopian government, because this meeting is actually happening after a gap of 15 years.
The two countries' trade exchange showed significant growth in recent years. Since the years 2018 to 2022, the average annual trade exchange value of the two countries was about $1.79 billion.
Ethiopia's maternal mortality has shown substantial decrement from 1,000 to 260 per 100,000 in the past 2 decades. The Ministry of Health announced that the health service in Ethiopia is making great progress in family planning, prenatal delivery and postnatal services and vaccination, despite going through complex problems. Speaking to EBC, Dr. Meseret Zelalem, who works at the Ministry of Health's Maternal Mortality Reduction Program, said that Ethiopia's maternal mortality rate has decreased significantly over the past 2 decades. Johannes Fentahun has more.
The health system in Ethiopia has managed to accomplish notable progresses in the areas of family planning, providing modern contraception to approximately 15.3 million women, prenatal, skilled birth attendant and postnatal care, immunization and adolescent and youth health, despite the difficulties posed by both man-made and nature, according to the Minister of Health. Instability, COVID-19 and climate change are the main obstacles preventing Ethiopia's health system from achieving its goals.
15.3 million Ethiopian women has been provided with modern contraceptive. This is really showed that an increased trend from the previous years, and we also saw from the last 4-year trends. So it's really impressive result that we have. And the second is antenatal care and skilled birth attendant. So, and also postnatal care. So when we see this continuum of care, there is also an increased trend from the previous year. It really shows a tremendous increment despite the challenge. The other thing is immunization program. So in immunization, those children are completely vaccinated, especially those less than 1 year, and those got the immunization and also vaccination through campaign in the school-based approach that is for 14-year-old girls vaccinated for HPV, human papilloma virus prevention vaccination. This is really one of the great programs as a part of immunization program that we have started since 2018.
According to Dr. Meseret, the maternal mortality rate is the most significant health service field in Ethiopia where notable changes have been observed. Over the past 20 years, the rate has dropped from 1,000 per 100,000 mothers to 267. She said Ethiopia is still striving to bring the number down to 70, despite the fact that it is a significant improvement over what it was.
In the beginning of 1990s, the maternal mortality of our country has been more than 1,000 per 100,000 live births. And it was really, there was really a huge political commitment, and different strategies and policies has been in place. Massive, task shift, capacity building, placing, working, investing across the health system really brought a change. So I can say with this figure, Ethiopia is in a very good shape, in a very good way to reach to the Sustainable Development Target. One of the Sustainable Development Target is to reach to, from the current figures that we have, to ramp down this preventable maternal mortality, if possible, to 70 per 100,000 live births.
It is to be recalled that the government of Ethiopia has confirmed its commitment to accelerate progress on maternal and child health outcomes. A reduction in child and maternal mortality rate is among the key objectives of the Ethiopian Poverty Reduction Strategy of 2022.
A Nigerian filmmaker and director says the Ethiopian film industry needs to have its own distinct features that differentiates itself from other African films. In his stay with Addis Dialogue on EBC World, the filmmaker, John Bosco Paul, has also called on African film professionals to take bold initiatives to tell their own stories rather than having them told by others. Shifarao Lako has interviewed him. Take a look at this.
Have you seen some of the films that Ethiopians have been doing, and if so, what are your general observations?
I am urging every filmmakers in Ethiopia to sit back, work hard, change, understand that Ethiopia need to understand Ethiopia filmmaking, film industry, the filmmakers. They need to understand the geographical location.
Okay.
They need to define who they are. Like when you tune Nigerian movies, you will know that, oh, this Nigerian movie.
Oh, I
when
see.
you
go to Bollywood, I think
when you
that's
play
the same
an Indian
story.
movie, you know that this is Indian film, even without you. Without them speaking, from their costume, from their story, from the picture, from the graph, whatever, you will know exactly where this movie is coming from. So the Ethiopia filmmakers had to define that
fingerprint, if you will.
Yes.
Okay. So let's expand this to the wider continent of Africa. And how should African I know this is a general question, but how should African film industry try to properly convey this message of unity, Pan-Africanism, things like that, so that the continent of Africa will have a better future?
Africa, we unite Africa or convey our story through act is by telling our story by ourselves. Okay. Africans are not telling our story by ourselves. We are either afraid
or somebody else is doing the job for us.
Of course. A story like a movie like Black Panther.
Yes.
Shouldn't be a Hollywood movie. It should be an African movie.
Okay.
But they come here, tell our story by ourselves, take out what they want to take out, add whatever they feel to add. Because we are afraid to take risk.
And finally, the ongoing fighting in Sudan has led to an increase in the number of children not going to school. More than 70% won't attend school this year, according to the United Nations. Others are waiting for schools to open in areas free of conflict. Tigis Sarnisa has the following account from Al Jazeera.
7 months ago, Wanda was attending school in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, when war broke out between the army and paramilitary rapid support forces. She and her family fled to eastern city of Port Sudan.
She has such high ambitions. She wants to be a pilot. She comes to me with a notebook asking me to help her write because she wants to go back to school. I feel so helpless to see my children's education disrupted.
Since the war started in April, nearly 6 million people have been forced to flee their homes. Hundreds of schools away from the conflict area are unable to open as they are being used to house those made homeless. The UN Children's Agency says 6.5 million will not be able to go to school this year because they are stranded in conflict zone, raising the total number out of school children to 13.5 million, and the agency says that puts children at risk.
These kids, the ones that were already out of school and the ones that are now out of school, where they are at very high risk of harmful practices and risks of sexual exploitation, of child labor, child marriage, child soldiers. So this is extremely high as we see it.
Sudan's government has ordered schools in safe zone to open, but Sudan's teachers union says steps need to be taken before that can happen.
If the government is serious about starting the academic year, there are things it needs to solve. The first are the salaries of teachers, in addition to improving the education environment and getting a solution to integrate displaced children, because they too have the right to education.
Wanda's mother says she hopes schools in Port Sudan will open soon. That way, her children can resume education and continue to work towards the future that they dream of.
Dear viewers, that's all we had for now. I'm Tabitha John. Many thanks for watching. Have a great time.